So in this video, you guys are going to learn the difference between an iron, a hybrid, and your woods, and some reasons as to why you may be struggling with hitting your woods in hybrid. So a lot of people think that there's a big difference in the swing with a wood and a hybrid, but the truth is that all the swings should be quite similar. The driver may be a little bit different, but irons, hybrid, and wood should have a very similar swing with very minor adjustments. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe to the channel because it really helps me create more videos like this for you guys. Let's just start off by talking about what the differences are between an iron, hybrid, and wood. And the first, that's pretty obvious, is just the overall length of it, okay? So I have a 7-iron here, I have a 4 hybrid, and I have a 3 wood, okay? And you can kind of see the difference in how much longer the hybrid is and how much longer the wood is in comparison to the iron. The next big difference has to do with the design of the clubs. You can see with the iron, the bottom of the iron is quite narrow, okay? So the narrower it is at the bottom, it's easier for the club to actually dig into the ground, okay? But with a hybrid, you can see that it's a bit wider. So with a hybrid, you're not going to be digging into the ground as much just because of how it's designed, okay? And then with the wood, it's even wider, okay? But that doesn't mean that you have to start thinking that you're swinging more upwards on it or more level to the ground. You actually still want to make sure you hit down on it, but because of the difference in design, it's not going to react with the ground the same. All right, so the next big difference or kind of misconception is that you don't have to stand like your posture further away or closer when you hold an iron versus a hybrid or wood. You can kind of see that my posture is going to be the same. Okay, I'm holding the grip in the exact same place, but because the length is different for each club, I'll be physically further away from the golf ball. But I don't physically have to get my hands further away from my body, stuff like that, as the club gets longer. Okay, maybe only with the driver, okay, because the ball's teed up. But because the ball's on the ground, right, your posture is going to be fairly the same, but you're just going to allow the length of the club itself to make you stand further away from the ball. So now from the front view, I'll just kind of show you the big differences with ball position between iron, hybrid, and wood. So when I'm gripping a 7-iron, this club in the middle of my stance, this is going to represent the center of my stance. Okay, so when I grip a 7-iron, you can kind of see that the ball is actually positioned maybe just slightly further forward or to the left of middle, maybe like half a ball left of center. Okay, now the difference when I grip a hybrid is that you can see that the ball is maybe positioned a little bit more half ball further forward than with an iron. And then when I grip a wood, again, it's a little bit more further forward than the hybrid. Again, another half ball or so. You don't have to have it way forward with a wood when you're gripping it. You don't have to put it in the same spot as a driver, but it does change a little bit, okay? And the reason why it changes is because of the difference in the length of the club. Because the length is longer and the ball position is a bit more forward, that'll also, like, you won't hit as down on it when it's doing that, but you still want to try to hit down on it, okay? But this is just the setup differences when it comes to ball position, and it's not a big difference. And the next difference has to do with how you're positioning kind of your upper body and lower body. If you've watched previous videos of mine, you know that when you set up with an iron, we want to make sure that the center of the hip and the center of the shoulder is fairly close to being pretty much on top of each other. We don't want too much separation here or kind of going forward like that. We don't want the upper body in front of the hip. We don't want the hip too far in front of the chest, kind of like this. You either want it on top of each other, or maybe, if anything, just have the upper body center just slightly more behind the lower body center. So when I grip the hybrid, there's that change in ball position, but we don't have to start making any adjustments with where our upper body and lower body is. We want to keep it the exact same. So you can kind of see my upper body is still pretty much on top of my lower body center. Just the only difference is obviously the length of the club, how far the ball is away from me, and the slight change in ball position. And the same goes with the woods, okay? So now when people start to grab their woods, because the ball position is further forward, people tend to set up very similar like a driver when they use a wood. Okay, so that means they start to get their upper body to tilt to the right or to the trail side, and that is actually going to encourage you to swing more upwards on it, which we know that we don't want. We want to make sure that we're still hitting down on the golf ball with the iron, the hybrid, and the woods, you're still gonna set up with the upper body and lower body pretty much on top. If anything, with all clubs, maybe just that slight difference at address, but not very much, okay? We don't wanna set up like this. Again, very, very similar to a 7-iron setup and a hybrid setup. We still wanna make sure we encourage ourselves to hit on a downward angle. Okay, so now I'm gonna hit a couple shots. I'll hit a few shots with my 7-iron first. And what I want you guys to pay attention to is the attack angle number and my low point number using the TrackMan, okay? So I just wanna prove to you guys that no matter what club it is, as long as the ball is on the ground, you have to be hitting down on it to some degree, okay? So I'm gonna hit a few shots with my 7-iron, and then I'll just kind of show you the numbers. You can see the attack angle number, it's -5, so 5 degrees downwards on it, okay? And my low point is, 10.8 centimeters in front of that golf ball, okay? So I'm hitting downwards on it with a 7-iron. I think for the most part, everybody knows about that. So now let's take a look at the hybrids. This is a 4 hybrid. I kind of borrowed this from the facility, so because I don't really own one, but I used to have a hybrid, but you'll see that I hit the same exact way as an iron. Yeah, so you can see -7 degrees down, that's quite a lot. I mean, I hit down on it quite a lot. That's still showing you that I'm still hitting downwards on it with a hybrid even. Okay, so let's hit one more. So again, I'm hitting downwards on it, low points in front of the golf ball. So now let's go on to the woods. Okay, so this is my 3 wood. As I'm changing the clubs here, all I'm doing really is just adjusting that ball position a little bit. I'm not standing further away now that I'm hitting a wood. I'm not trying to lean back behind it. It's the exact same. Obviously, the length of the club is causing me to stand further away. So I hit that one like a little bit thin, but you can kind of see I'm still hitting somewhat down on it. Okay, now the longer the club gets, obviously you're not gonna typically see that you hit more and more downwards on it. If anything, because the club gets longer, you're gonna start to see that you'll hit less down on it. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't intentionally try the same things as you do with an iron. Okay, so one extra point about the woods themselves. Now, a lot of people struggle with it because the 3 wood now starts to have a lot less loft on the club than other hybrids or irons. So this one, I mean, for example, my 3 wood, it has like 14 degrees of loft. So a lot of people like that may not swing it very fast, may not be able to get the ball off the ground. After a certain point, with certain lofts, there is a speed requirement, okay? So if you don't swing it fast enough or hard enough, then it's hard for the ball to launch off the ground, off the face, okay? So if you swing it really slow with this low lofted club, you'll see that the ball doesn't carry very much. It'll kind of launch very low and like roll a majority of the way. A lot of people are confused about that, but that's the reason. So if you find that you don't swing it very fast, what you can do is you can try to use a wood that has a higher loft on it. Okay, so that'll give you the best chance to get the ball in the air instead of just trying to struggle or try to do other things to get the ball to launch higher or to try to swing up on it. You definitely don't want to do that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Now, if you have any more questions about the iron, the hybrid, or the woods, you can leave a comment down below. Just be sure to follow me on my Instagram at Jonathan K. Moss. And if you are still new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel so you can see more golf-related content.